the voter version of Orange Man Bad. That like, oh, you just like care about the structures and the hierarchies that exist and the patriarchy and the racism and white supremacy. It's like, what are you talking about?
Honestly, division on the left is not necessarily the worst thing sometimes. Like, people ask that question a lot, and I think it's just inherent to being on the left. Part of it's
all right. Zippy is right. They don't even want to come together. They're like, this is just part of the game. Part of the game is that we're all going to hate each other and make sure that no matter what, we can't succeed, even though we generally all agree with each other.
Having principles. So the reason that the right is able to coalesce in ways that the left is not is, one, because they are also aligned behind capital in ways that the left is not. And it's pretty easy to regress to the mean for them and essentially just serve capitalism, and it's fine being nationalists or racist as long as you are protecting the power structure and the hierarchies that exist.
So here we see already it's just the front-facing, superficial, like, oh, those people are bad. It's just the voter version of Orange Man Bad. That like, oh, you just like care about the structures and the hierarchies that exist and the patriarchy and the racism and white supremacy. It's like, what are you talking about? Meltdown Media said, wish you would have gotten in there for this and got a question in. Hell yes. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. I mean, these are, as you'll see, I saw, as I like to skip through to make sure we got something good. But it's very clear, even if you haven't watched this at all, that Destiny's going to be the one that is the most rational, the most based. And I would love to have just asked what it is that keeps them calling themselves progressives when it's clear that they have such vastly different perspectives on this stuff. Yeah, on to pose quote, and the right are all one entity because racism, and the left isn't because reasons. What? That's this is the level of thought. This is the level of thought, and yet, still, it is these people's party who are in power. So again, the reason that we want to peek into this is to know exactly what we got. Melton Miami said, "You don't think Vaush is rational?" Not quite. Camcast says, "Vaush over Destiny only because I don't watch Destiny yet." That's usually the way it goes. Is that you'll have the Vaush is like your entry level. And Destiny's just a little bit step above. And Melton Mind says, great stream. Absolutely. Melton Mind Media and two of our friends from the Discord server were up here. We had a really good conversation. If you didn't check that out, it indeed was a lot of fun. All right, what are we doing here?
When it comes to the left, there is infighting because a lot of people have
because she got to it. Because there's principles. What? Are there though? I don't think that is it at all, but okay.
Principles, and they don't want to stand aside alongside certain things that are deemed unacceptable. Now, there are times when it goes too far, right? 100%. But I think that the fact that there's an adversarial relationship within the left adversarial is not the right word, but I think the fact that there are these open discussions and debates, that's actually a strength, and it means that we're thinking critically about issues, and I think that that's indicative of kind of what we're trying to achieve today as well.
Who's on the far? Oh, that's hosted by Progressive Victory. Never heard of him, but he's just the what do you call it, the moderator. Unwanted Foe said, how could she say all that and not realize how much it applies between her and the right? Because it's a brainwashing. And so I've been thinking about this a lot since I had Peter Boghossian on. Shout out again to Peter Boghossian. If you have not seen that, please definitely go check that out. But I always talk about the two major things that have caused political discourse in this country to just fall by the wayside. And dogmatic thinking, whether you believe that there's a man in the sky or you believe that a man can transform into a female, either of those things are dogmatic beliefs. Typically, not inherently, but the way people treat them, they are dogmatic beliefs. Number two would be semantic obfuscation. meaning when people take a word that already exists and then change it or change the meaning to help them win arguments, like racism, like Nazi, like white supremacy, like anti-racist, all these things. And I was talking to Peter Boghossian about this, and he was saying, well, you got to be careful, because remember that obfuscation is a purposeful act. It's a purposeful act. So we have to. So that is then split into two groups. So there's in semantic obfuscation, there's the people doing the obfuscating of the language, changing it, and then there's people who are eating that up and now thinking based on that reality. And so they're using words in a way that is very, very different than the way that we that we would understand them. And so it causes a bifurcation, and it creates two different realities. So the reason why is because she literally lives in a different reality in her head, and that it doesn't apply to her in her head, and it applies way more to anyone who's right of her. Yes, Sam Cedar's show. Yep, you got it.
And it's worth noting, of course, that leftist infighting is left tradition. It's been happening for as long as the left has existed. It's seemingly unavoidable. It's tragic, but it's like gravity. It just pulls us down, and there's only so much we can do about it.
I wonder either how many times has he said that? It's just like gravity. It brings us down. Or did he think of that in his hotel room? He's like, oh, I can't wait to drop this one on the panel.
The key is understanding that through all the disagreement and fighting and personal bickeries, there are things we can focus on to productively move forward. The key here is that it's a political space, not a social space. Disliking people in a social sense, thinking they are rude or boorish or even have some bad opinions, doesn't prevent you from working with them on issues of critical import. I think
Wow, the rare good point from Vaush. Shout out to Vaush for actually making a good point. No, we teased. Vaush he seems like one of these people who's very intelligent, but he is what's the word? He's just like a little he's just a little less smart than he is. If he was just a tiny bit smarter, he'd realize how not smart he is, because he has a natural intelligence. He is well read, but he's reading the wrong things and making the wrong interpretations. So he's intelligent, but it's like 3 clicks to the left. It's like, you're so close. Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, he's an intelligent idiot. He's intelligent because the takes he has, Vaush, we're talking about now again. Vaush is, it's mind-blowing how out of this world he is. And it's not necessarily the typical crazy leftist stuff. It's the fact that you, like, what? How did you even get there? I did not even think that was a connection that somebody could make, as we'll see. But again, we got to make sure that if we're not brushing off people who are as dumb and dumb and ignorant when they just have a difference of opinion or they have a very big influence. Some people have a difference of opinion and they have no platform like that, but we can still learn from them. And then there's people like Vaush who have terrible ideas, but he has a platform, so he has influence. And that makes it very, very important.
Even like AOC at a national level
you got a co-host.
Discussed efforts to work with Republican congressmen towards specific policy. And, they disagree on 99% of things. But if they work on the 1%, then, that's something. I only hope for a future in the online left where there's a little bit more constructivity behind all of it, because I feel like we're a bit lacking in that regard.
And let me just add one thing too. Like, the online left is not representative of the left, right? Like, we are. There's a tendency to overinflate.
So something else that I want us to pay attention to, because she just said, like, the online left is not a representation of the left. Now, obviously, it's a representation of her because she is the online left. But we also want to think about, like, does the online right, does that really represent who we are and what we believe in? I think, because I don't watch a lot of left-wing media, I would think that liberal voters probably are less represented by the media from that side. I think there's, of course, the fringes who absolutely are batshit, but for the most part, I think that you'll find if a conservative is reading something from Ben Shapiro or something, most likely they're going to agree with at least 85% of it. And that, Emma, is because of principles, not because of, this orange man bad. I have to be part of a cult. Wanted Foe said, betting is a projection juice moment from Emma. Yep. We gonna wait for it. And when we get it, projection drinks all around.
Our importance. We are not that important. We're just not. I'm
Agreed.
here to communicate issues. I don't feel that we should think of ourselves that way, honestly. Like, I'm here to communicate issues. I want to bring people on my platform that are actually doing the work.
Okay. Did anybody say that you were doing anything different? It's the things that people say unsolicited. Remember we talk about like Ron DeSantis. I will not let you down. Well, thanks for putting that idea in my head. It kind of sounds like you think you might let us down, and you're not only trying to convince us, but you're trying to convince yourself too. Emma doing the same thing. Listen to it again.
Communicate issues. We are not that important. We're just not. I'm here to communicate issues. I don't feel that we should think of ourselves that way, honestly. Like, I'm here to communicate issues. I want to bring people on my platform that are actually doing the work, that are on the ground, that are advocates. That's the role that I see in this political space.
Yeah, I mean, Montefiore, you're exactly right. You can say and it's obviously true that they're not hugely important people in terms of, these 4 people are probably not going to be remembered in history. Sure. But saying that you're not important, like you're not doing work is I mean, maybe not you, Emma, but I know that at least the other 2 think and try to do their best to represent their ideas and try to fix the country the same way that we're sitting here doing that same thing. And so again, maybe, saying the quiet part out loud, it's like, okay, maybe you are just there farming drama, and that's why nobody likes you or your channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio, and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.